You never met a man like me. You wouldn't understand. I'm in a rock and roll business, honey. Well, I'm in a rock
Morning.
and roll-
Welcome to the Rockstar Fitness Podcast with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Rob McGeary of Fat Loss Fat Lane, and we're joined today by Simon Dutton of Made Coaching. He's down there at the bottom. Oh, except it's not. It's Leanne Marshall of Leanne Marshall Fitness, who's infinitely better looking than Simon. So that's a bonus straight off the bat. She's probably got more interesting points to make as well. So, Leanne, please do a little bit of an introduction to yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Basically, I am a transformational coach. I work with a mixture of men and women around the globe, actually. Now it's just gone global, which is pretty exciting. Kind of re-educating people in what their diet beliefs are, on how to truly get their physique that they truly want without any fads, and kind of teaching them how to train efficiently and effectively. That's pretty much what I do.
Fantastic. I mean, that's a pretty solid. Yeah, that's a pretty solid. What do you do? So one of the reasons that I wanted to get you on, Leanne, was because as a female coach, you produce consistently good results, which I don't see for most of the female PTs that I have sort of spotted on social media. And I don't want to be calling people out and saying that, you know, perhaps people should be changing their approach, but I would hazard that that most of the female PTs out there that want to kind of put themselves forward as transformation coaches or something along those lines should be looking at someone like yourself and looking for clues to your success. So what do you think? Okay, and the thing is as well, I just want to point out, you're not just getting results with women, you're getting results with guys and with women, which is even more impressive. So I kind of want to get to the what do you think that you're doing differently to the rest of your peers, female PTs, that makes it so consistent results wise on the spot?
Oh dear, I don't know if it's that I'm doing anything different. I think consistency is about anything, right? It's about habits, it's about how you apply yourself, and that's whether it's within your personal life or within your business. So I don't practice anything I haven't preached with my clients that I haven't gone through myself. So I'm not going to transform somebody and take them to photo shoot lean if I haven't been there myself. In the same way that right now I refuse to take on anybody that has approached me that wants to step on stage. I have personally never stepped on stage, so therefore I will never coach anybody to step on stage because I can't have an opinion on something I haven't done. I try and stick to the simple principles. I think we can get lost in this industry of social media and social media fitness with trying to push something, sell something, make money from something. Well, you can sell something and make money from something if you're doing something well. So yes, as long as the fundamentals of my diet principles are in place and my clients understand them and I'm consistent with them, but also open to interpretation because every client is unique. So they're not buying a cookie cutter plan of me. They are buying a plan that is then uniquely bespoke to them. Hence why my clients that are male get results. And actually my client base is actually 80% male versus the rest being female. And the females get results because then I have to take in consideration other factors. And I think people, they either don't understand it enough or haven't been through it or aren't educated enough and are just trying to push a generic program, or they've got a bit lazy with delving into the deeper needs of that human per se itself and what that person needs to keep moving forwards, because there's always going to be objections, there's always going to be struggles from a client, but as your coach, as their coach, it's your job to understand that, break them down, move forwards from there, and how can I still get the result from this person that may never have ever done this before. So I guess that's probably what I'm doing differently.
I mean, and that very much if you I mean, you know Rob, you've known Rob for a while. This is the first time I've talked to you, but if you've looked at anything I do, or if you've ever come and seen me operating, then you would understand that that's very much aligned with what I do. It's all about the individual. I actually put a post up yesterday where I posted something that Tom Blackman had put up, and I kind of dropped my own little sound bite on it, and I was so impressed with myself that I thought I'm going to post that on its own. And I'm going to even expand on it a little bit, in that, you know, a body transformation is obviously a journey, and that journey is taking you down roads, and those roads are basically your diet and your activity, right? And those two roads need to meet at the junction of the individual, and that's where you are able to then really get dialed down into what that person needs, what that person wants, what that is appropriate to that person, and you can deliver that. And I think what a lot of people in our industry forget is that, and it's because of all the, and I don't want to rant on about this, Rob knows I'm not a big fan, because of the people that are out there trying to sell like marketing courses and mentorships and things like that. They want to try and get you to package yourself and package things. You know, you're constantly trying to sell a product, and the product is actually, that we're selling is actually a service. We're servicing individuals. So we need to make sure that we're delivering the service that the individual has hired us to deliver. And I think that's one of the things that I think you're absolutely nailing, which is the reason why you're getting such good results. And on the topic of the empathy of having done it yourself, I was going to pull up pictures of Leanne naked from Instagram, but I'm not going to. You can always go and have a look, search for it yourself. There's plenty of them on our Instagram profile. You've walked the walk. You've been in phenomenal shape. I mean, I'm sure you're still in phenomenal shape, but you understand what it takes to get there, and you won't take people to places where you've not been. All right. I mean, I really have a big issue with anybody that's taking on contest prep clients and asking them to pay them money when they've had no experience. Like, if you've got no experience, you shouldn't be charging.
I will not do it. I cannot stand there and say, could I diet you to that point? Yeah, absolutely. But have I ever been through the mindset that it takes to go that extra 30% further than it takes to be photo shoot lean and suffer that hard? I've never been through it. So then I can't tell you what the pitfalls and the perils are in that moment of where you are so low in energy that you feel like you can't walk. Like, it's a whole other step, like, further. And if you haven't done it, you can't do it. Like, prep brain is real. Like,
I had a prep in 2017 where on numerous occasions I actually questioned, and I'm not risk averse in any way, shape, or form. Like, I was a sort of competitive snowboarder in my younger days. I've thrown myself off all sorts of stuff, very, very dangerous. Not averse to risk, but there were a number of occasions during my prep in 2007, my second prep in 2017, where I actually questioned whether or not I might die. And it's all psychological, you know it's psychological, but in your head you're going, the way I feel right now, I think I might be about to die. And if you've never been there, it's really hard to handle when somebody throws that question at you. Hey, do you think I'm going to die? No, don't be stupid. Like, you're just hungry, you're tired, you're depleted beyond the joke, and in a couple of days we're gonna fill you up and you're gonna feel great again. It's okay, chill out. But unless you've been there, unless you've been through it yourself and you've been to that dark place, having the empathy for it is impossible. Which brings me to the next point. When are we getting you on stage?
I mean, it was actually something we were talking about with a friend of Rob and I's the other day, when we were training in the gym together. Well, you know Barry Pitts. Barry Pitts and I train together all the time. He's my little training buddy. I say little, being the opposite to what this man is. He's huge. Now he's going to have a really big head after that statement when he hears that too. So we were joking because we're actually born 2 weeks apart. I'm 2 weeks older. So we were saying that he wants to jump on stage so his kids can watch. And he was like, you should do this. Like, genetically, you're built for this, which I've obviously never done. I've always been pretty muscular as a female. I think working with Rob over the years, I think I used to have something ridiculous when it took him 6 minutes to take me to failure on a pull down. I think that happened once upon a time. Yeah, maybe when I turn 40. So what, I'm 38 now. So 2 years to get ready, 2 years to have someone do that.
That's a shit coach.
Oh no, he was putting me through worlds of pain, but it just took 6 minutes for my back to give up. And I was, by the end of it, I think he had my hands clamped to the bar. But yeah, no, so maybe 2 years for my 40th. Why not? I say never say never. It's something that's definitely on my bucket list to try.
I mean, for all the downsides to it, and there are a few, in terms of the fact that you diet for an excessively long period of time, that you feel like shit for quite a long period of that time, and that it's incredibly mentally taxing and challenging. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, it's awesome. On the day, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The placings don't matter. What everybody else looks like doesn't matter. As long as you're satisfied with what you brought to the stage and you get up there and you go out and you do your thing, it's amazing. Rob's going to get on stage.
Are you, Rob?
Yeah, the Magic Mike, they're doing a budget version in Leicester.
No. I'm not going to rest until I talk him into doing some sort of men's physique.
I rarely say no to things. I like new experiences. And again, another string to the bow. It doesn't mean I can then start offering that as a coaching service, but it just shows I can walk. Another way of saying you can walk the walk,
Yeah.
That's what
Absolutely. And the stage is where I feel at home as well. Like obviously Rob, everybody knows Rob plays and sings and does music. My previous career before I moved into body aesthetics I was a musical theatre performer, completely different walk of life. So yeah, the whole stage is something I miss dearly. So that's probably sparkly bikinis and a stage is probably the reason you'd get me up there.
Sparkly bikinis and a bit of snacks.
And knowing that I can eat cookies afterwards.
Yeah. Well, there's always that. I mean, there's always that. It's a bit of a dangerous route to go down, the cookies and treats post show. I was quite well behaved in the 2019 preps. I did 2 shows in 2019. They were back to back, so it wasn't quite so problematic. But in 2017, after I got off stage at the UK BFF British Finals, I put away somewhere in the region of 26,000 calories over the 24 hours, and I did not feel good. I felt like, as much as I thought I might die during the prep, I genuinely was kind of worried that I might have a heart attack from all of the just feeling so full continuously, and maybe rupture some of my internal organs.
That's actually, I was going to say, that's actually something I talk to my clients about a lot, is like rebounding, because a lot of my clients come to me for photo shoots now. It's become more and more of a thing. It started as clients just coming to want to get in shape, and then a few photo shoots went out on my media, and then now it's like the thing that is happening within the business the most. And I talk to them a lot about rebounding and what it feels like, and how it's just as important to navigate the journey post shoot as it is into the shoot, because it's a minefield, that area. Your body's telling you all sorts of things that your brain can't make sense of. And I'm pretty open about the fact that I've rebounded twice in a really bad way, like 10 kg in 3 weeks. To the point of, actually, it's something I talked about on someone else's podcast the other week. I spent the last year of lockdown navigating my hormones, because they were so messed up from the shoot I did a year before, because I wasn't ready and I got so lean and I rebounded so badly, but my hormones had been messed up for 2 years solid because of being pushed to do things that my body wasn't ready for in that moment in time. And that's a whole other story. That it took me a year to get back to this point of health. So now I'm sitting a comfortable 10 kg over my normal weight. And now I'm officially 4 weeks into dieting, because it's the first time my body is stable. And I'm very honest with all my clients about all of this stuff, because I think as a coach, you have to be completely transparent about where you've messed up as well, about the reason you know how to handle this for them is because you've lived the worst side of it. So every cloud, right, is a silver lining.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you can't find a lesson, then you're not looking hard enough. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you mentioned the sort of back-to-back 2 years of dieting, and I think that's one of the reasons when you actually look at female competitors, especially in the kind of the smaller, less muscular categories like bikini, where they'll compete year after year after year, and then they get about 3 years in, and all of a sudden you start seeing the posts on the social media about my body's just not responding, and it's because you've been on a diet for 3 fucking years and you've not built any new tissue, and you haven't actually improved your physique in any way, shape, or form. You need to take a year off and actually spend some time improving. And this is kind of where with I mean, whenever I do sales consults for online or one-to-one, we're selling the sexy, right? We're selling the transformation stuff, and it's the kind of, call it what you want, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever, I don't care. We're selling the sexy, but I'm always talking about that is getting you to the start point. That's not the end, that's the start point. That's where you can really start to look at your physique, understand where the gaps are and what you need to actually add to make it very impressive, very capable, very strong. And if you blow out after you've got to the end of your diet, then you're not going to be able to see that. You're not going to be able to do that because you're going to have to spend a few weeks repairing the damage you did with that, 2 or 3 days, 4 days of, oh, I'm going to eat like a fucking child. And because that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, I did 26,000 calories the day of the show. But the very next day I was right back on diet because I knew that I felt so bad physically, like no guilt, I had planned to eat most of what I planned to eat. But no guilt, no kind of psychological stuff going on, just physically I felt awful. And I was like, right, time to get back on the diet foods, stick to the foods that aren't hyper palatable, that aren't causing me to go rushing out looking for 2 meters worth of Snickers, and slowly increase that until I'm at the point where I'm eating quite a decent amount of calories, and then the hyper palatable foods aren't that hyper palatable anymore. And
that's absolutely the mistake that everybody makes. They just think all of a sudden, oh cool, well I can find balance now. And it's like, no, balance will come. We need to spend time building up to that point where you can then find balance.
Yeah,
and that's where
pendulum and swung it all the way that way. And you're gonna let go, and it's not balance. It's gonna end up looking like Rob. Now, Leanne, on the subject of Rob, because you've known him for a while, right? And I want to make this, because what you've probably got a bit of an understanding from him that this is not about a dry lunch type. There's no we stick to the topic of fitness. We want to have a laugh. We want to have this to kind of feel like a little bit like anybody watching is just sitting in a conversation with some friends. Yeah. So Rob used to have hair, right? I mean, he had luscious hair, and he had a
quiff.
I'm not gonna say he's not good looking now, but he was a good looking lad with the hair, and he shaved it off because he thinks he's going bald. I mean, I think he's jumped the gun a little bit. What are your thoughts? Maybe a little bit premature.
I mean, I think it was probably a moment of sheer lockdown madness because he did have like the most perfect silver like quiff ever. Like that like sexy Essex hair was doing it for him, wasn't it? Like your Tinder must have been going crazy. Do I think he's bold enough to shave it off? I think he could have probably waited another couple of years to shave it. I mean,
that's a stretch, Rob. That's a stretch. Did you seriously just hold up and compare yourself to a picture of Jason Statham?
I did.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it.
Oh my, no.
Nothing.
I mean, I think you could have waited a bit longer, Rob. I think you had a bit longer to go before you ended up with a comb over. That's for sure.
I think you had probably 5 or 6 years, but I think you should just grow it back.
Do you know what? I probably will.
I mean, you will, because I'm just going to peer pressure you until you do it. So I'm relentless. I will simply never give up. That's the reason why you're dieting right now, yeah? Because
because let's face it as well. When I get on stage, guys do look. You don't to be a bald skinhead bodybuilder. You have to be a certain demographic.
You have to be massive to get on stage with no hair. And 2, you're not going to be a bodybuilder. You're going to do men's bikini. Let's be honest.
I'm not going to be a bodybuilder.
Are you going to put on sparkly pants?
Oh, 100%. I'd do that anyway. Like, that doesn't have to be on stage.
That's a Friday night, Rob.
Yeah, in that case, leave the hair. I mean,
give me 5 minutes. I'm 5-minute walk from Soho. We can get set going.
But those men's bikini boys, they've got the coiffed hair. They do. They've got the perfect.
That's the bit that does me in. Is they're all in board shorts down to the knee. I'd want to show a bit more flesh.
I mean, are you sure? Because we've seen your tiny little glutes.
Yeah, but the angle game and the fact that I won't be in UV light.
The angle game?
I will have trained them. You know,
there's no angles on stage. You can't hide on the stage.
You'll see them for what they are, which is not what that photo is.
It's all good.
I mean,
all good in a photo shoot.
that selfie was a tiny tush for sure.
So
that
selfie, for the record, anyone who hasn't seen it, was me about to go into a sunbed because I'm from Essex.
Yeah.
We get on with our council tax, and taking a photo to, show that I was doing it, and B, I'm, a moron. So I thought, well, let's get me butt out on social media as well, because that's what you do. And then the first photo, I realised you could clearly see my butthole. So I was like, right, clench.
Really?
Second photo, you could see things dangling down below. So I was like, right, tuck your butt under so they don't see your giblets. And then, third one, I was like, oh, fuck it. This is taking way too much time. I was losing precious UV at that point. So
were you not starting to get that burnt by that stage?
Oh, never.
Really?
I'm a seasoned vet when it comes to this.
I mean, it's beyond shocking, is what it is.
If you get on stage, I won't even need a spray tan. I'll be ready to go. Just oil me up and push
Will you need to be oiled up, considering your penchant for coconut oil?
Well, that will be the difference. It won't be Johnson's. It will be full on extra virgin.
Evil. Phenomenal. So most of what you're doing at the moment is photo shoot prep, Leanne. So we're going to get back on the topic of health and fitness stuff. So most of what you're doing is photo shoot prep. Let me ask you an interesting question, right? Because I have my thoughts on this. What do you think of peak week strategies for photo shoot preps?
I actually don't utilize them.
Yeah.
The reason being, like, yes, the client's lean. Like, for a guy, like, I'm aiming to get him 10% or whatever. Hopefully I've been sensible enough and dieted him down or her down on enough food that they're not completely depleted and like a dry sponge. If I've had to refeed along the way, regardless of where a client is in their journey, I start bringing refeeds in week 6 regardless, just for adherence. And the moment I started doing that, like, the rates of adherence within my clients just like skyrocketed. And I was like, why did I not do this sooner, like with myself? I just manipulate a few variables, pull out, dry them out a tiny bit, a bit of wine the night before, manipulate some sodium maybe, and get them in front of the camera. Like, there is no need. They're not that lean. They don't need it. They also are not that depleted, so they don't need it.
I'm glad you said that. They're not that lean. Photo shoot prep, they're probably the leanest they've ever been. They probably feel like they're shredded. But unless you're bodybuilder lean, unless you're inside out peeled, messing around with tons of stuff to try and dry people out and peak them for a photo shoot where they're going to be able to angle and choose the best pictures anyway. It's not like being on stage. Like I said, there's nowhere to hide on stage, but in front of a camera, you can find angles, you can find ways of making yourself look a little bit leaner, a little bit narrower in the waist, a little bit wider in the upper body. The camera and the lighting are going to make you look phenomenal anyway. So messing around too much is just it's gonna be a recipe for disaster. You're gonna end up with a client that's one, confused, and two, not looking the best.
I was going to say, it's an argument I get into a lot with my male clients that come in that have got some form of awareness or have messed around with this type of format before, especially some of my younger men, like my late 20s, like guys, because they want to get super, as what they consider super lean. So between 7 and 10%, depending on how far I can take them. And every time they're like, are we going to do a peak week? And I was like, well, yeah, if we've got more time to sit there and navigate what happens to your body and then what happens afterwards and how you feel. Are we going to waterload, Leanne? Well, we could, but do you really want to feel like shit going into this photo shoot when it should be a celebration of all the hard work you've done, and you're still going to look like an absolute animal anyway? Just keep drinking the water I've given you, keep eating the food I've given you, cut out what I tell you when. You're going to feel better, you're going to look great, you're going to still look full, and you're not going to feel like absolute shit. But sure, we can do it if you really want to mess around with it, and then we can actually undermine everything we've just done.
Yeah.
For the fact that you could be dry or could not be dry. Like,
I mean, one of the best things if you're thinking about how to look your best in the last week before a photo shoot or getting on stage or anything at all is about minimizing stress. So why would you? I mean, I don't know if you guys have done any kind of water manipulation or water loading. Yeah,
It's painful.
it's awful.
Yeah, I hate it. No.
I didn't do any water manipulation for my last show outside of cutting off water intake the evening before and having whilst having my last meal. Like that was it. Shut down water intake but I've done it before and it's absolutely awful. But I didn't do any for the last show I did, and that's the best I looked. And the most comfortable I was, and the happiest and the least stressed I was going into it. So it's the water thing is just, it's overplayed. It's unnecessary. It's unless you're like elite level bodybuilder, waste of fucking time. Like simple as that.
I think, like you said, I think coaches miss the trick on navigating the client's stress into a shoot. Yeah. I think they don't pay attention to their stress markers enough through the journey, probably. Yeah. And they don't pay attention enough to the stress at that point on the body going into shoot. Like if you manage that, the rest is sweet. Give them some Haribo. They're going to be firing on all cylinders because they haven't had sugar in about 12 to 16 weeks in that form. And they're going to be bouncing off the walls for an hour. They're going to be absolutely fine.
Give them a bacon egg McMuffin from McDonald's and some salt and vinegar crisps and watch the veins come flying out. My tip.
I don't like McDonald's.
No, I don't. I'm not a big fan, but it's just it's easier than saying, right, go and get like a bacon and egg roll somewhere. Just bacon egg McMuffin, done.
I'm mean to my clients. I give them like rice cakes and like nut butter and jam in the morning because I tend to try and book their shoots early. I'm like, get your shoot in early, get it done. A little bit of rice cake, a little bit of jam, a little bit of nut butter, tiny bit of water and salt, like loads of sweets before we go in, get you done so you can go eat. So I try and book them early. I'm always that asshole that's like, I've booked all the early slots on someone photographer's schedule because I just want my clients to eat around lunchtime.
It also avoids them waking up on the day and kind of screwing it on the day by binging a little bit beforehand. Like,
exactly.
I look good, so I'm going to get in front of the camera and 2 hours later.
Manage those variables. I can't trust you in McDonald's. I can't trust you to eat exactly what I've set unless I'm sitting there watching you.
If that was me, I would just bring it. I'd say like that. Don't eat until you see me, and then I'd hand it to them. So I mean, that was my. I've done loads of different ways myself personally. That was what I ate the day of my last show. Like it was the best I've looked. So I had bacon and egg McMuffin about 90 minutes before I got on stage, and a packet of salt and vinegar crisps. Looked phenomenal. Got off stage and I had a pint of lager shandy, and I looked even better. I was like, what? How? So that I'm not saying everybody should do that, guys. Just to be clear, this is not an endorsement from JP to go out and drink shandy, crisps and bacon egg muffins. It's just the smallest things make a difference at the end. You don't need to put these over planned things in for photo shoot clients. It's just it's unnecessary. I'm glad we're on the same page on that. Rob, what are your thoughts on it?
It's very similar. It's what's the minimum effective dose? Okay, well, dieting them down properly, minimizing stress, all that stuff. That's what's going to make the bigger difference than water manipulation at the end, and like you say, make them feel like shit. It's the same when you continue afterwards as well. Like you said, you had a lager shandy and suddenly you're looking better. How many, and especially females, bikini, not necessarily podium finishing, that I've seen get to the end of the show and they've got a suitcase full of sweets, cake, crisps, or like literally a month's worth of fucking calories. And you're like,
the best part is that most of them are swashing around backstage half cut because they've been drinking either vodka or wine all morning with no food.
And then they wonder why. Then they'll have lost all that definition within the weekend, and then I'll go, oh shit, I need to diet down. Or I'm dieting down, I might as well do another show.
Yeah.
That's in that cycle you were talking about. And 3 years down the line, you're like, shit, I've really fucked up here.
Very destructive. It's very, very destructive. So I mean, it's like with Mila Victoria, she's she knows full well that you don't get to compete 2 consecutive years in a row. You do your shows, and then you take your time to kind of recover from your shows, which is the first sort of priority. And then after you've recovered, you then look to improve. And once you've improved and consolidated and improved and consolidated, then you can start thinking about, okay, maybe I should look at picking a show and getting myself in shape. I mean, we've all done it where it's kind of like, I took an 18-month off season after 2017, and then I was like helping one of my buddies get ready for a show, and he was in incredible shape. He was inside out lean, and doing some posing in the room the night before, and I thought, I'll get my shirt off, I'm not looking too bad, and I've had rear double biceps, and he took a photograph, and I was like, right, fucking time to pick a show, because I am way too fat right now, and it's I'm not gonna mini cut and try and, like, it's too far gone for that. It's time to get lean and reset and be in a position where I can improve again. So that was a good call for, let's pick a show, let's do something.
Yeah, I did the same the other week. With now I had the okay with like my hormone tests coming back all good, and I was like, right, well, it's time to book a photo shoot, because it's time to like bring the like house back down to the foundations, so that then I can improve on it again. Yeah. And we all need those goals. We all need something specific to hold us accountable, and especially when we're dieting.
Yeah, I mean, doing a photo shoot, get on stage, these are incredibly strong motivations to stay consistent and to stay adherent to the diet and the process. But I mean, it also has to be kind of for the right reasons as well. It can't be about the extrinsic factors of external validation. I think you've got the right balance there of it being intrinsic. It's about like get down to the bare bones, so I can see where I need to work on to improve, so that I can move forward and be better. And as long as you're only ever judging yourself against your previous iterations, that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. And that's, I think, a message we should all be trying to get across to our clients. Stop looking at Instagram. Stop looking at Rob's favorite thing, the influencers, and start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, right, how am I going to be better tomorrow than I was today? And continually doing that day after day and week after week, month after month, so that you get 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, you can look back and go, wow, look at how far I've come.
Yeah, I think you asked earlier, like, what do you think is wrong with a lot of the females in the fitness industry, in the fitness space? And I think it's males as well. But I think a lot of it is that, like, they live in this false world of either they're putting up false pictures and they actually don't look like that at the moment. So they're falsely selling what they believe their culture is. But also, most of them are sitting there suffering with issues, and they do it all for external validation, or they're all suffering from eating disorders because they've been dieting for 3-4 years and trapped in the cycle that Rob was talking about. So the binge restrict. So they're more concerned about how many likes they're going to get for the right angle of their arse post that they've just posted with the hip popped. And it's just like, it's become so false and so misleading that it drives me mad. I'm just like, the more posts I see, I mean, of course there are naked pictures of myself on Instagram, but that's just to show I can walk the walk. But I don't sit there posting daily pictures of my ass with a motivational quote just to get people to buy into me, because I'm going to post a picture of my client showing that you need to buy into him because he's just busted his balls and done what I said I do. Like, it's become one more Gymshark advert after another. Like, literally, that's how it feels. It pisses me off.
Leanne, if you were the type that just posts, regurgitates pictures of yourself, in the cute, sexy outfits in the gym, you wouldn't be on here, because if you'd come on here and you'd been one of those, this would have been like a 15-minute podcast and you would have gone off crying. The fact that it's very, very similar to my own mindset on it. I don't post pictures of myself to even prove that I walk the walk. I'm not interested in that. I just throw them up every now and again because I like to see them and it's my feed. And so I'll just shut that up today. The only thing I'm really interested in other people buying into when I putting out that kind of content is the journey that one of my clients has been through and the result they've got. And I'm probably not, because I'm not a social media guy. I don't waste my time on there. I spend most of my time on social media abusing my friends. That's it. Like 90% of what you see on social media is me just trying to amuse myself, right? So I don't do it. I don't bother with it. So I could probably do a better job of telling the stories of these clients, a much better job of telling the stories of these clients. In fact, I could probably just start posting video testimonials, and that would do, wonders for my social media presence. But who gives a shit? Like, people find me through Google or through word of mouth. They don't find me through social media because I'm just not interested in it. So I think that, your social media pages, Rob's social media pages, they sort of strike a very, very good balance in storytelling and in holding up examples that people can aspire towards, right? And that's something that I wanted to kind of get into with you, was because, simply put, there are a lot of crap male PTs out there that are crap transformation specialists out there that like to label themselves as something and then produce no proof, no evidentiary things to back up what they're actually saying they do. Now, if you tell me that you're a transformation specialist, show me your results or shut the fuck up. You don't get to talk at my table. Okay?
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, there's a big boys table and there's a children's table. And if you haven't got the results, or especially if you've only ever got results for yourself, you can sit at the table and listen. But if you've never got results for yourself, if you've never got results for your client, go and sit at the children's table until you've been through the process yourself, and then you've coached a bunch of people through the process as well, and you can come back and say, hey, in my experience, this happens. Not, well, I read in Eric Helms's book, so I'm going to tell you what I read in Eric Helms's book. I don't care. It's a great book, by the way, but
it is a great book. I actually have that book. It's good.
I actually prefer the what's his face? Is it Annie McDonald, the Rip Body? The last shred 2.0. I actually prefer that. I just don't the style that it's written in. But if you're just going to come with regurgitated information rather than experience with information, then don't bother. I'm not interested. We're not going to have a talk. We're not going to have a chat about anything, because you can't.
You're a health and fitness coach. You're not a transformational coach.
Yeah.
And that's okay to be a health and fitness coach. If you just want to help people live a better lifestyle, lose a tiny bit of tummy fat and get active, there's nothing wrong with that. There's also a space for that. Yeah. But then don't label yourself as something that you're not. I think it was something I was very aware of when I started out on my own. I hate to throw the word like as a female in there, because I think coaches are just coaches. Gender it's just one of those things, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's a very male dominant field with not very many women doing it well. And the women that are doing it well are competitors. They have all stepped on stage, and that's not my bag. That's not my background. It's not where I came from. I came from a real world experience of this and not a stage comp prep experience. And therefore that's the only mindset I have. Like, whereas yourself, yes, you compete, but also you've got a real world perspective on it all. Yeah. And so I was very aware that I was like, God, if I'm going to throw my hat into the ring, I have to compete. Like, I can't just throw down a basic transformation. Like, my transformations have to get me in places like yourself, where I'm sitting here talking to two coaches that I like admire, and we're sitting here having a chat. Like, if you're going to stand up, especially as a golf transformational coach, you can't just do the generic. Like you have to be prepared to push the boundaries and like fight for your place within the huge realm that is transformation specialities across the board.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I like that. It's going to sound weird, especially as a girl thing, right? Because, we should be ignoring gender and blah, blah, blah. But people don't, right? People don't, they don't ignore gender. They don't ignore like sort of ethnic background, race, religion, all that sort of stuff. And there's a kind of almost like a victimhood mentality around a lot of these things. And I think that, what you've done is you've taken ownership of your situation, and you've gone, right, okay, I might not be looked at the same way as the next guy that's doing it, who has the same sort of skills as me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to outwork him. I'm going to deliver 10% more, 20% more. And now there's no denying that I get to stand shoulder to shoulder, or even head and shoulders above, because simply put, you produce the results to be able to say that, right? It's taking ownership and going, I won't be denied my place at the table. And I respect that. It's a kind of a mutual admiration society here.
Well, thanks.
Rob's been pretty quiet, but Rob's always quiet when we're not talking about aliens or his non-masturbation. So we're talking when we get him talking about nofap and aliens, he's like, he just won't shut up. But
well, masturbation is healthy for the soul, so like people should do it more. I'm just going to throw that out there.
But I will jump in on that. That if you look at again the females, because we know most fucking males just jump in this for a bit of attention. They think they're going to be a 6-figure trainer in a month and what have you, and they're terrible. But the females, especially, if you look at Leanne's social media, it's like one picture of her to 9 pictures of her clients and stuff like that. And when it is pictures of her, it's her photo shoot. She went through the motion. She went not even through the motion. She went through the process. Not only is she ripped in those photos, she's fucking hench. Now, you look at any other female, what is it? She's in her bedroom.
let me stop you there for a second, Rob, right? I'm not taking anything away from Leanne, right? But pretty much everyone's hench compared to you.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Leanne's like got the back of my dreams, pretty much. I want Leanne's fucking back, all right? So, but then you look at another female trainer, it's very much so, it's all photos of her in her bedroom.
Underwear.
Tidy up. Yeah, perfectly angled, all that stuff. Leanne's not even fucking angled in this stuff. You can't fake the fucking upper back that she's got in some of those photos. And yes,
I'm gonna agree with you there. So I kept mentioning that there's nowhere to hide on stage because you can't create angles and try and. I mean, you can. The posing is, you know, it's kind of, there's an individual element to it, and you can maximize what you've got by hiding it in weak areas in some ways, but they're still going to be there. You're still going to be seen. And in the photographs that I've seen on social media, there is no hiding. You know, we get a shot of you directly from behind. You can see, has she got, you know, a thick waistline, or is it really pulled in tight? Is the upper back as impressive as it looks at an angle, or is it actually genuinely there? And you know, you've pretty much nailed it there, Rob. There's no hiding. You've done a great job on that one, Leanne, as far as the photographs are concerned.
Thanks so much.
I mean, he's right though. I mean, there's like one picture of you and the rest of it is, you know, good, valuable content or client results. Whereas mine is my dog, and occasionally, you know, Rob and the boys.
Well, that's because, like, I mean, but that doesn't matter. I think it's, you know, it's client buy-in. You want a client to come to you because you want them to buy into you and your process.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit of you in there, enough for people to know who you are and what you do. But the rest of it should be social proof. It should be proof of what you bring to the table, as you said, like your results. So it doesn't matter whether it's your family, your dog. That's the bit about you, the bit that people want to know, the bit that people can relate to. So whether it's me doing a photo shoot or me doing something else, it doesn't matter. The same with either of you. I just think we get wrapped up in trying to prove our worth every day through bikini shots or underwear shots for validation, rather than, okay, we need to let clients know a bit more about us today so that we can, you know, get in a conversation, and then we're going to put out the proof of what we do. And the ratio's off. It's become all about us and less about them. And there should be a balance of both. Because if I get a dog, my dog's going to be on my social media. I'm absolutely animal obsessed.
My dog and my cats. Occasionally my children. But no, I mean, I kind of get the feeling a lot of the time that, because I used to post like result pick after result pick after result pick, and you know, I didn't get massive engagement from it. This was back when I was actually involved in social media and took it seriously. And I kind of got to the point where I was thinking that maybe people just don't believe the results are the results. And so when you look at the coaches that are the coaches, they call themselves body transformation specialists, and it's just pick after pick of them looking good. They find it easier to buy into that, and they go, oh, well, that guy's, you know, always in shape himself, so he must be the go-to, or that girl always in shape herself must be the go-to. So I mean, I've been really lazy about putting up any results pics on my website. There's not been any new ones for a while. I've got a bunch to go on. I don't bother on social media because it just annoys me. The whole thing annoys me. I follow people that I find interesting and that I can get into interactions with and have a laugh. And I think that I've had this conversation with Rob previously. I think social media and social media marketing, where it's kind of interruption based, how many people are actually going on Instagram to look for a personal trainer? So to me, it's like, where are people actually searching for this stuff? Google. What do you do when you want something? Google. So I spend my time working on that, and to the detriment of my social media it's sort of presence. But I don't care. I think some people are really good at it, and I don't see the point of trying to compete with people that are really good at it, especially in a sea of noise. And there's a lot of noise. So you and Rob have a very good handle on it. I'm not going to bother getting into your lane.
Well, I don't know. I don't overpost. Rob's much better at it than me. I just try and post when it's appropriate. I know I should post more. No, but I'm just very,
it's always consistent in terms of on brand. It's always, the imagery is striking. It's really, really good. The sort of interaction you get with your clients and also people that comment is great. So it's good.
I think we forget about referrals. So my business expanded online rapidly overnight, as Rob will contest to, when I was like, oh my God, I'm so busy. Because of referrals. My business went global because of referrals. I don't have a website at the moment. It's something that's still sitting on the back burner because I just haven't got around to it, because word of mouth travels. Like, I was very lucky that a few of my first clients were getting ready for the TV show, The Witcher. And that kind of then spread my name around really rapidly, because I had to hold them in shape the entire filming of the season 2, which was pretty cool. It was really cool to be involved in. And then from there, some of my photo shoots landed and it went out from there. But, the power of word of mouth, of people talking highly of you, recommending you to a friend, of then you chatting to them and them connecting with you, is so much more valuable than a Facebook or an Instagram post.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't matter.
100% agree. I have a referrals program with my online clients whereby if they bring me a new client that signs up to a 3-month package, and these things are paid for in advance, so I don't do monthly payments. It's like you pay for the 3 months and that's that, or longer depending on what you want. If they bring me a new client that signs up, they get a month for free. So I've got a bunch of clients whose intention is to never pay me again. So there's a constant stream of clients coming through that. But they're not going to do that unless they're happy with the service they're getting, right? I mean, who wants a free service that's shit?
Exactly.
Nobody, right? So no, Rob, get on the referrals.
Mate, I haven't actually. It comes back to that social media. I'm not getting much from it. All my current clients are referral based or word of mouth from someone else.
Yeah, and I think as a trainer, that's the highest compliment. I think. For sure. It's nice if you get some come through your DMs or instant messenger or to your website, but if someone's literally saying, this guy or this girl literally does what they say they do, I'm enjoying my time with them, I've achieved X, you should give it a go, then
it's much more valuable. You're then getting somebody that's already bought in before they've even contacted you. So 100%.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't really even bother interacting with people that send me DMs on social media. They just get the website address sent back to them. Like, go here. Everything you need is here. Go here. If you go there and you click my WhatsApp button, now I'm going to talk to you because you've demonstrated that you're actually genuinely interested. You've had a look at my website and you're a bit more bought in. So now I'll talk to you. But up until that point.
Also, now I know that you can follow orders, so I'm going to be able to diet you.
Yeah.
You can follow communication skills.
You do. So I had a client, right? This is a while back, and he was given to me by a mutual friend of all of us, who I'll name later when we're not online. And he came in, and I was sort of sold on this guy. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be a fantastic transformation. Really, really committed. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. Here we go. And the guy walked in, and he looked like a womble. Right, and the guy is. I was very open with him, so he knows that this is how I described him, because I said it to him at the time. You look like a womble. You look like a serial killer. And he was kind of like, really? I said, yeah. You need to go and have a haircut, and like get a haircut before you come back in for your next session. And he came back in for his next session with his haircut, and I was like, fucking great. This guy's going to be awesome. And like, he was 51, got abs for the first time in his life. His wife at the time, because he's no longer married to her, sort of accused him of being on performance enhancing drugs, which was hilarious because he had these slabs that just came out of nowhere. But that was it. It was, I knew from the second I told him to get a haircut, and I was in a bad mood because I kind of felt I'd been missold this client, and like, just go and get your haircut, don't come back and see me until you've got it done. And he came back in with his haircut looking very smart, and I was like, right, time to get to work. This one's going to be good. And that's exactly what you were saying, right? You can follow orders and do what they're told. They're gonna buy in. They're gonna stick to it, and they're gonna be in really good shape when they get to the end goal, not the end of the process. So the outcome is going to be fantastic. I mean, I think we all ignore that the best clients are the ones that are we don't ignore. We all forget that the best clients are the ones that are coachable. So it doesn't matter how good the genetics are when that person walks through the door. If they're not coachable, they're going to look like crap. I mean, you might get them in good shape. They might look fantastic from an outside perspective, but you know full well that person with those genetics should look phenomenal at the end. And they don't, because they're just not coachable.
No, it gets tough the busier you get as a coach. In the beginning, you need clients. You feel you need clients because as a new business, when you start up, you feel a little bit desperate as a coach to prove your worth, right? And then the busier you get, you start reminding yourself that actually, it doesn't matter if I can't coach this person. It doesn't matter how they start. I can't coach them. So you have to say no. And also, we've got this need as coaches to want to help everybody, but we just can't help everybody. Some people just can't be helped yet. They might just not be the right time for them or whatever. It might take them a couple of years, a couple of months. It doesn't matter. But if you're honest with them and you're just like, you're not ready, like, come back to me as and when, they'll come back, or they'll make the change for themselves and then be in the right headspace. But sometimes you have to say no to help someone out, because it is not worth your time if you are constantly batting your head against a wall.
It's one of the best things that you can do is value your time as well. Value what you're putting into this, because I'm sure you guys are the same as me. You get emotionally invested in what your clients are doing, and so when they start to go awry, and it's not just a slip up where there's a coaching opportunity, right? Somebody makes a mistake, that's a coaching opportunity. It's fantastic. It's like, oh man, I had a Mars bar today. Okay, cool. Why? Well, let's go back through the previous day and look, is there any reason for that? Or was this just a choice because you just felt a little bit like you needed it? In which case, let's look at how we can work around that in future and how we can coach through that. When they're doing it every week, multiple times a week, it's like, you're not making mistakes anymore, you're making choices. And now I'm not invested anymore because this is wasting my fucking time. And I'm quite blunt about that. Yeah, I like to point it out to them as soon as possible. You're going to get the truth from me. Sometimes it's not going to be what you want to hear. And if you're looking for a sycophant that's just going to say yes, yes, yes to you, I'm not the guy. Go see Simon.
But I think we should all be transparent with our clients. I mean, the way we put it across is all down to our own individual personalities, but it's the truth. Like, you have to say to them, like, okay, like, the first time was either an emotional episode or a habitual one that we need to break. So something led to that moment, which we can work backwards. We can reverse engineer back to that moment and try and fix it moving forwards. Or now you're just making choices to self-sabotage yourself, and that is something you need to get to the bottom of, because that is more than I can do for you, and you need to take ownership of the fact that you're doing this shit to yourself. Like, you are putting yourself in this like negative feedback loop of self-emotional harm or whatever it is it's doing to you, and you're expecting me to fix it because you're paying me a service. Cool, well, that's a psychiatrist's job. That's not my job. My job is to get you healthy from the inside out. Like, I can only take you so far with that, and you've got to take ownership for the shit that you're doing to yourself.
This is kind of how I describe what I do for my clients when they're on the calls with me, or whenever you get that kind of, you get this as a good coach, you'll get this on a regular basis where people are like, couldn't do this without you, or you've helped me, blah blah blah, and you're kind of actually, as it happens, you need to think about it as more like a rally car where you're the driver and I'm the navigator. You're doing all the work, you're working the pedals, you're the one that's behind the wheel, I'm just telling you where the corners are and how bad they're going to be so that you can make sure you negotiate those corners without coming off the road. That's my job, right? So, you know, they do all the hard work. It's not this, I could do this in my sleep. This isn't, you know, getting people in shape for me isn't challenging. It's not difficult. Getting people transformations, it's not challenging. The challenging part is making sure that they are plugged into being adherent and consistent with their approach to it. But that's mostly within them. You know, if it's not there, I can't put it there. You know, I can't make you all of a sudden understand that your choices, your decisions are what dictates your outcome. Like, you need to be able to look inwards, look in the mirror, be a little bit introspective, and understand that I'm responsible for everything that's happening to me right now, all the time. Even if I'm not, even if, you know, some evil person's done something, I'm still going to point to myself and go, right, what could I have done to avoid this? You know, and that's what I think the hard part is for most people. So no, I 100%, if they're not coachable, if they're coming on board with a, I'm going to throw money at it and Leanne's going to get me in shape because that's what she does, that's her job, then they're wasting your time. They're wasting our time. I mean, we've all got clients that you know are a pain in the ass, where you know you kind of put up with an extra level from them because you've had them as clients for a long time, and you know they get it right more often than they get it wrong, and they're still moving forward. So if they're still moving forward, it's okay. But the second they stop moving forward, we need to start thinking about, okay, it's time to fire you. It's time to move you along, because you're not getting the most out of what I'm providing. And I'm not.
I think coaches get afraid to let clients go as well when they've started. I've let several go since I've started, and it was one of the toughest decisions because I wanted to genuinely help these people. But I sit there and people were like, well, they're still paying you, so take their money. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, my time is more valuable than that, than for them just to send me a reoccurring payment, or they've paid X amount. Like, I would rather put my time into someone that's going to get the result than sit here lying there awake at night, which often I would do because like you said, we're all invested. So I am emotionally invested into trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with them in that moment. And it's like I'm losing sleep over it. And in the end, I'm like, why am I losing sleep over this? It's their choices. And I had to sit them down and have some very tough conversations. And it was like I'm going to give you X amount of weeks to try and improve this, and I'll be there with you every step of the way. But if we get there and I see no improvement, it's time for us to part ways, because my door will always be open, but you need to go and fix some stuff right now. Like, and that was a really tough call, but I've had to do it several times along the way.
And as coaches, obviously what we're looking at is, first and foremost, what is it that I'm not providing that's not supporting this person enough to get the result, to get them where they need to be. And when you've made several changes and you've accommodated a whole bunch of stuff, and they keep, you know, for me, the biggest thing is you're sending me a check-in document that's got no data on it.
It drives me potty.
What do you want me to do? Right? And you know, when that's happening, I'm quite happy to turn around and say to people, look, I'm not gonna give you anything off the back of this. There's no feedback coming from this because you haven't provided me enough to give you feedback. How am I supposed to make any informed decisions if I have only partial data? Like, I can't, you know. And it's frustrating that that person is taking up time that you could be putting into another client who is going to follow the process, or even taking up time that you could be spending on you. And that's something we haven't touched upon, is that, you know, we need to look after ourselves as well. We need to make sure our mental health is at an appropriately stable and robust level, so that we can take a few of these knocks and absorb them. I mean, like Rob knows, I've had probably the worst 18 months of my entire life, and like, that's not to do with the pandemic. And being able to absorb those knocks comes from basically trying to look after my own mental health and protect myself from people that are drawing too much energy from me. Now, the energy vampires of the world exist, and if we let them take from us without giving in return, we're ending up in a deficit continuously.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a good place to be. And
I call them mood hoovers.
I like that. Mood hoovers is great. It's 100% true. If you spend your whole life being like having your energy drawn from you without anybody there to recharge it, then you're just going to end up providing a really shit subpar service to the ones that actually are there for the right reasons. And it, again, personal ownership. You take ownership of the situation. I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? This is happening. Okay, let's fix this. Let's take care of this. Maybe it's a hard conversation to have with somebody, but it's a hard conversation to have that needs to be had. Simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as coaches, we're naturally, it depends if you believe in things like empaths and stuff like that. Even if you don't, we are naturally intuitively empathetic. It's why we can make the judgment calls that we make. So I would say naturally I'm an empath. I know Rob is, I'm sure you are from talking to you. We naturally can sense and feel what another person is going through. That is the basis of it all, which is what makes us good instinctive coaches. So if you're constantly giving that out, your glass is going to be so empty before you know it. And so you really do have to protect that. You have to protect your personal time, the things that make you better as a person, because then if you're better as a person, you're better as a coach, like you said, and it comes full circle. And I definitely have fallen into the trap of, especially in the beginning, of letting that run away and leaving myself absolutely spent, like with nothing. And I think it was the quickest lesson I had to learn was to have boundaries, because otherwise I'd be there at 1 a.m, chatting to a client who's having a meltdown over cheesecake. And it's like, actually, I should be getting some sleep. I'm up in 3 hours. So
like I like to have massive communication with my clients, but that's one of the reasons why I'm so protective of what type of clients I take on, because the ones that are the ones that other people might think of as needy, that want a lot of communication and a lot of sort of back and forth. For me, the ones that I take on board that are that way inclined tend to also be the ones that get the best results, and the ones that are really, really bought into the process. So I don't like that, doesn't drain energy from me. So even if I'm having that constantly all day long, I'm kind of excited by it, because it's like, oh hey, Cam's messaged me and he's got some question about some obscure thing he's read that's like he wants to know if it's a good idea to include. And it's, you kind of go, okay, cool, this guy's really involved in this, he's really switched on, and he's really kind of plugged into the process, and he wants to get feedback from me on things that he's heard that might or might not be beneficial, right? Whereas when it's somebody, like you said, that's having a meltdown over fucking cheesecake, and they've done less than 1,000 steps as an average for a week, and they wonder why they're still not moving forward, you go, I can't do this. This is too much. I've done it when I've been on holiday, where I've been going back and forth with people, and you can just sit there thinking to yourself, in the very beginning, I kind of explained that your activity level needed to come up, and your intake of food wasn't necessarily the problem. It's the fact that you don't move, and that message still hasn't sunk in, and I'm still having to go over the same thing with you. And so when you have a binge and you've got that level of activity, it's significantly worse, because you're not doing enough to warrant the calories that you're already taking in. So adding more on top is just making it worse. So when it's a client like that, it crushes you, and you spend days kind of, like you said, in your head going, how am I going to get this message through to this person at this point in time, at that moment, is not coachable. Move on. Have a conversation with them. Tell them you can come back when you're ready, but you're not ready right now. And let them go on their merry way, and do their thing. Because it means it's like the stress thing. We keep talking about stress, right? So, we've got levels of stress that simply cannot be removed, right? There's work stress, children, day-to-day life. These things there's nothing we can do about those. So we need to mitigate the stresses that we can control, making sure we're hydrated, making sure we get enough sleep, making sure we get enough water, so that doesn't take us over the edge. If we've got these clients that are taking us over the edge because they draw too much energy from us. It's taken away from the ones that are actually really good clients that we could be spending more time putting more energy into and be happier chatting with, and just better overall, more productive coaches with happier clients. Anyway, that's my rant about that.
No, it's good. Like one of my bugbears is the moment a client says to me, "Oh, these steps are really hard," and I'm like, "Cool. Well, I set out, like you, a very clear path of how we're going to achieve your result from the first call we have, not even before you've signed up. I spell it out as to how we do this. So you're very aware I'm going to be asking you to hit daily tasks, one of them being walking, because unless there's a medical reason why you can't, we should all be getting out there more, because then all of a sudden we're in the daylight and you can take your kids with you, you can walk your dog, like it's sociable. It's something you can do that you should be doing regardless of being on my plan. So I'm just making it part of your day again. And like, oh, getting 10,000 is so hard. I'm like, it's an hour and 15's worth of your time. And you should be doing it from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. So you shouldn't even have to think about it. I'm just asking you to track it for me. And so when people start to argue with me about that, I'm just like, it isn't that tough. Like, come on.
You get them and they're doing less than 1,000 steps a day, and you point out to them that takes a total of less than 13 minutes. And you see the look on their face of, oh. So Katie, I'm in two minds about this next thing I want to say. So Katie Hopkins was on, I think, Celebrity Juice, and she was talking about, she got fat. Well, she got fat. She put on 4 stone to prove that being skinny isn't easy. This was her words, right? And that people that aren't skinny or that are fat just simply don't move enough. And she wanted to say that she called it lazy, right? I don't think it is. I don't think it's necessarily lazy. I think it's just a skewed opinion of how much activity they should be and are doing. They think they're doing loads, but the perception is completely skewed. It's so far from the reality of what's required that when you, and the same goes for a lot of females and actually a lot of males, smaller males, in terms of how many calories do you need? You know, when you've got a male client that's maybe 59 kilos and complaining that he's hungry, and you've got him on like 2,500 calories, you're going, dude, how can you be hungry? There's no way. And I'm very, very, very specific about volume of food. I'm very careful to make sure that the food volume that's being ingested is almost excessive for the amount of calories, so that there's no way you can ever complain to me that you're not, like, I'll get this, the people that are talking about and complaining about the calories being too low are the same ones telling me that it's too hard to eat all this food. Really? Right? So you know, we've got these skewed perceptions of what we should actually be taking in. I mean, myself personally, my calorie, my sort of perception of how much food I need to eat per day is always way less than what I actually need to. I mean, I'm losing weight at a rate of knots now that I'm more active because the gyms have been reopened, and I'm struggling to stay above 200 pounds. You know, this morning I woke up and I'm like 92 kilos. And I normally walk around in the mid to sort of higher 90s. And it's because we went into a lockdown period. I downregulated my food intake because I'm not moving that much. And my appetite is driven by my activity as a general rule. And so my appetite dropped right off. It hasn't come back yet. My step count has tripled. And the weight's been falling off me, like, you know, accidentally getting lean. I'm not trying to. It's not my intention. My intention was to maintain body weight and consolidate for a period before pushing calories up again and go above 100 kilos again. And it's just kind of my perception of my activity and my intake is skewed too far in that direction, in that now it's hard for me to maintain body weight and continue to get more muscle on. Whereas a lot of the people that are really out of shape, theirs is so far skewed in the, I need X amount of calories because the government tells me, you know, 2,500 calories, because, you know, you're an average sized man, right? I mean, you're 59 kilos, you're an average sized man. It's like Rob. And I move loads. I'm constantly moving. Like, and I maybe play one game of football per week, and you go, yeah. So when we looked at your step count, you're averaging 4,000 steps. Guess what? Add 1,000. It's 13 minutes of walking max.
Yeah. Do you think people confuse being busy in the sense of mentally busy / life busy for activity busy, like activity? Because I think people are like, I'm so busy, and I'm like, you're so busy, but your ass hasn't left a chair, so you ain't that busy.
No, and there are kind of, I mean, there are sort of personality types that lend itself to this as well. So people that have a lot of nervous energy, I mean, you'll maybe have noticed this yourself, right? People that are in shape or people that are slimmer always move more. Like they always have higher step counts, right? I can tell when somebody walks through the door whether they're doing, 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps, 3,000 steps, just by looking at them. I don't need to see this, but it's almost without fail that I'll ask to see the step count average for the week on the first day, and they walk in and they show it to me, and I'm like, I could have told you it was going to be that before you even showed me, because just experience tells me this. But you'll also notice that a lot of these guys and girls that are really slim move a lot even when they're not moving. So they'll have the nervous feet thing going on, the feet bouncing, or they're twiddling their thumbs constantly. They're always moving. And so there's a little bit of a personality thing, a little bit, but it's such a minor difference compared to how much do you actually fucking walk on a daily basis? How much do you actually move around on a daily basis? Ignore exercise. Ignore the scheduled activity that you've planned for yourself. It makes very little difference. It's a small part of the puzzle, right? How much non-exercise activity is going on in your day, because that's going to be the biggest contributor here to whether or not you are moving forward. The gym is fun. It's great. It's fantastic. We need it. We need to make sure we're not losing muscle tissue. We need to give ourselves a reason to hold on to it. We need to improve and correct things that are obviously not working properly. But in the grand scheme of things, what you're eating and how much you move on a daily basis versus that 1 hour, maybe 3 to 4 times a week that you do, in the gym getting hench, it's massive. And the sooner people realize that, and I know that it's a little bit less simple than eat more, move less, but it kind of is a bit simple in that respect. Like, eat more, move less. Get the ratios of what you eat right for you. Make the activity fit your lifestyle, and you won't notice that you're doing it. I mean, I like to creep the steps up. People come on board and they're on like 4,000 steps. I'm not going to ask for 10,000 steps in week 1. I'm going to ask them to do 1,000 more than they're doing and keep doing that until I get them to where I want them. And they don't notice because, it was only 10 minutes. It was only taking the stairs instead of the escalator. It was only getting off my bus to stop early. It was only parking a little bit further away from the supermarket. Fuck, it's not difficult. You can find ways to squeeze it in all over the place.
Yeah, people forget that we've just also got a little bit comfortable with not moving in lockdown because we've been told not to. So then starting that back up again seems more daunting than it should be.
Yeah.
Because we've minimized trips to the supermarket, we've minimized trips to see the grandparents or whatever it is. So even as simple as commuting, people haven't been commuting, so therefore getting off, a tube stop earlier or a bus stop earlier or whatever it is, all of a sudden they're like, what? Hang on a minute. And it's like, well, it's time to get back out there. It's doable. I'm actually the other way with my clients when they first start, regardless of whether they come in stepwise. I'm pretty mean, and I'm just like 10,000 non-negotiable off the bat. And I don't do that because I think, it's 2 reasons. I either see if they're willing, how much they want it, because they'll do it if they want it, or how much I've got to combat. So therefore, then I'm like, cool. So you couldn't hit the 10, but you did go from 3 to 8. Cool. Keep hitting that 8. And now 10 is our new goal, and we'll start creeping back up. So I kind of I set it as a bit of a false kind of sense of what they're going to give me. So they'll either give it to me anyway, or they won't, and then I know what I've got to combat again afterwards.
Yeah, it's like giving yourself a false deadline for a job you've got to get done. You get it quicker and more appropriate.
Yeah.
If you've got a month, you'll fill a month. If you've got 2 days, you'll fill 2 days. If you say this needs to be ready in 2 hours, it's going to be done in 2 hours.
Absolutely.
I like that. I might have to steal that and start using. I used to make people do it on day 1, but it's how to get there's again a little bit client dependent. you know, you've got, you
Depends,
know,
it does depend on their needs. You have to read the client first. About 90% of them, I do that, and I'm just like, go.
get it
And then
done.
if you can't go, then I'm like, cool, let's chat about what the obstacles are and let's work through this. But initially, you'll just see, you'll see a lot of things very quickly. It'll open up the book, and you'll be like,
because that creates a coaching opportunity, right? I mean, and this is what we want to be doing. We want to be, I mean, I don't want, I mean, it sounds weird because we've said I don't want the energy vampires. I don't have a problem with clients that require work and require coaching. I like that. That makes my job interesting, right? If somebody comes along and they're like, oh, hey, so on top of wanting to be in really, really good shape, I've got ulcerative colitis, so how are we going to work around this? Then it makes things really interesting, and then you get a lot of dialogue back and forth on that and coaching based on that. But if that person's like, I've got ulcerative colitis, but you know, I've been drinking and I'm still drinking, and oh, you know, the week was going really, really well, but you know, then I hit Friday and there was some social events, and you're wasting my time, like, and you're using your health condition as an excuse, you know, and I don't have, like, just to be clear, I'm not speaking about anybody in particular, but it's if you take, and I've known a few coaches in the past that, you know, they'll give their clients an excuse, and then anytime the client messes up, it's down to the excuse, and it makes the coach feel better because then they're like, well, I'm not getting a result because you've got this, and that's the reason. Whereas that client is out like lashing it up at the weekend, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that they've got some sort of, you know, parasite, or they've got an injury, or, you know, all of these things that they sort of claim, and everything to do with the fact that they're just not consistent. You know, they're not consistent. I mean, I have a client right now that is that has ulcerative colitis, and so that's stress related. So when he gets a flare up, we back off the volume and maintain intensity on his training, but it doesn't change anything about the diet, because the diet that he's on is actually quite kind of Spartan, due to the fact that we want to avoid anything that's going to cause a flare up. Doesn't affect his diet, doesn't affect his non-exercise activity, and he just gets on with it, and he's moving forward. And when we have those periods where he can't attack it in the gym and he's not hammering it, you know, he's still moving forward. He might be creeping forward, but he's still moving forward. He's still getting stronger. He's still looking better. He's still, you know, feeling better about how his body's operating. And then as the flare up sort of recedes, you can start to put more volume in and start to train harder again. And then it starts to kind of speed up a little bit. And it's just about managing, again, the stress thing, managing that. When they're having that kind of issue, dialing it back to accommodate, and knowing when to take your foot off the gas and put your foot back down on the gas again. So.
yeah, no, it's so true. I've got a few ladies actually at the moment that are all suffering with like ovarian cysts, endometriosis, God, all sorts of stuff that hinders a weight loss journey. And to a lot of those, I've been like, look, it doesn't matter whether this takes six weeks or 6 months. Like, we're going to get you there. It's just that we're going to come across more obstacles. Your body's going to fight us in certain situations. So we just have to navigate it, be very open dialogue wise, and manage it. But if you remain consistent, even if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you will get there. Like, it's just going to take us some time. Like, you've just got to be a little bit more patient. Even with my new mums, I've got a couple of new mums at the moment. And, you know, sometimes new mums, I'm probably going to get a huge backlash from this, but sometimes new mums use their baby as an excuse, right? And it's like, you have now entered the toughest job in the world. The toughest job you are ever going to have is keeping that human alive. We can't change this. All we can do is manage everything around it. And remember that you are also a person. So you need also some time for you, which means we need to look at your support network. What's going on around you? Have you got someone that can help you, like, look after your child every so often? And, you know, most of my mums end up doing really well because, again, I say it's not about a timeline. It's about, we will get you there. We're just going to manage what we can as we can. But it's always those mums that, you know, oh, well, I couldn't, you know, because then I hadn't slept, and then because of this, and so we ordered a takeaway because my husband wanted one. Then you're like, oh, it isn't actually you being a new mum that's the problem at all. Like, it is you that is my problem, like, in the sense of you and your habits that we need to break. Oh, yeah, but, you know, like, that's just what we do. And it's like, well, just what you do got you into this, like, position where you needed my help in the first place. So something has to change, yeah, regardless. And then you can't then tell me it's your child as an excuse from there. Like, it isn't.
No, I mean, it's like you said, though, that it's the toughest job in the world. It's one of the most stressful jobs in the world, and there's nothing you can do about it. So let's look after all the things you can control. Let's take care of what can go in your mouth. Let's take care of how much movement you do. By the way, you're now carrying a small weight around all the time. There's no excuse for being weak now. You need to be strong. These things get heavier. It's progressive overload. You know, so.
Steps with your child is the perfect excuse. Stick it in the buggy. Let's go. Like, go for a walk. Get out there. Like, no, Rob, no.
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 No, come on, no Scottish accents now. Let's leave that.
I wouldn't even try. No.
Right, Leanne. On that note, because obviously Rob is ultra busy. He has just the most incredible busy lifestyle, and he's probably due for a nap right now. I think we're gonna sign off. But what I'm gonna ask for, because it's gonna please me, is that we all finish up, because I want to put a thumbnail on this video. We all finish up with the double biceps, and it's gonna please me because Rob's gonna be the smallest.
No. Okay.
We're gonna head the biceps.
I'm in a cold room as well.
Oh, he's got. Yes, Rob.
They're getting there.
Awesome. All right, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I think if you are not averse to the idea, we can get you on some more, because it's been an absolute.
I would love that.
It was great.
I'd love that.
So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fuck off.